Hi, my name's Anthony and I'm a systems engineer here at Jamf. And today we're going to take a look at Apple device management. In education, we know that there are often many stakeholders in a project, and this is no different with IT. Schools choose iPad for its great versatility, but most management tools are designed primarily for IT departments, creating a disconnect between intended classroom use and the experience teachers have with devices. Teaching staff often lack the autonomy and flexibility of devices to make a real impact in their classroom. Many management solutions also don't empower the users to be creative and is disruptive to the device users. And if devices go home, parents have little say in how the devices are used for learning at home. It's time for an MDM that's designed to help teaching and learning that empowers all stakeholders, IT, teachers, students, and parents. So today we're going to talk about Jamf School, our device management solution that is laser focused on education. It's built to be simple, enhance the teaching and learning experiences while still being powerful and enabling IT to successfully manage devices. At Jamf, we look at three different buckets when it comes to Apple device management and education. First, we have the devices. With Jamf School, we can manage macOS, iOS, iPadOS, as well as tvOS. And using the power of automated device enrollment, we can ensure that the devices are managed with Jamf School right out of the box. Next, we look at the management of the devices, from integration with Apple services like volume purchasing and Apple School Manager, to on-device management such as restrictions and configurations, through to identity services like Azure or managed Apple IDs. Finally, we look to use the Jamf School system in creative ways to provide tools to enhance teaching and learning by using the student, teacher, and parent apps. Let's first have a quick look at the management console. This is for the IT stakeholder. Jamf School is a cloud-based MDM solution so that you can take control of your devices from the management console anywhere in the world. Using the dashboard and smart grouping, you can easily track device state, user assignments, and app deployments. If you're managing multiple campuses or schools under one body, Jamf School has location support. You can manage location and its devices, or you can push out profiles and apps or create policy at the top tier and share down to all locations. With a simple, easy and clean console, it's easy to create smart groups and profiles in no time, and you'll get your devices deployed super fast. Let's have a quick look at how simple it is to have a look at some device details and some of the things that we can see when we click on a device. So here we have our dashboard, but we're just going to move straight into the Devices tab. These are the devices I have enrolled, and already you can see a number of bits of information. I'm going to click into the iPad itself here, and we have this rich data that we can see about each iPad, right the way through to things like the passcode and whether we're passcode compliant, quick actions such as clearing a restrictions passcode, locking a device, or perhaps even enabling loss mode. We're also going to be able to see from this view managed profiles. So these are profiles that should be on the device. And we get to see the installed version and the current version that should be installed. So we can see if there's any differences there. We can disable profiles for troubleshooting purposes, and we can add profiles to single devices as well, which really makes things easy when it comes to managing that one device that needs a particular configuration. In terms of managed apps, again, we can see the apps that are supposed to be on this device. We can see whether they're installed, whether they're assigned just for self-service use, and we can install or reinstall them from this view as well as being able to add single apps to single devices and their managed configs if we needed to as well. One of my personal favorites when you click into a device is how simple it is to see the activity log, to see the things that the iPad has been doing when it's been checking in, what it's supposed to be doing in terms of installing devices, installing applications or profiles and things like that. So as you can see, there's a lot of rich data, but it's very simple to sift through. You don't need to look through lots and lots of logs to see what's going on. It's presented in a real simple, clean and easy way. The next thing, again, it's something that's really small, but I know that in education this can be quite a big thing. I just want to show you how simple it can be to add a layout to a device. So lots of other systems, for example, use text-based ways to add applications to a certain layout to a device. I just want to show you how easy it can be with Jamf School. So I'm just going to drop into our profiles tab here. This is where we create all of our profiles to put on our devices. And I've got a student layout one here all ready to go. I'm going to go down to our layout section here, and you can see already this is a picture of an iPad, and these apps on the right hand side here are simply all the apps that are available on my VPP token, and it's as simple as dragging and dropping, which makes this really quick and easy to be able to do. And I know it's something that a lot of schools really like, to be able to put applications in a certain way so that you can have an experience that's the same on every single device for the students. Over and above being able to put single apps on there, I can also create groups using this layout feature as well. And in that drag and drop kind of way, I can name the group what I need it to be called as well, which is really, really useful from here. And I think finally, the thing that's super awesome when we're using this layout feature here is we can actually also add web clips to this layout, which is really cool. You just create them prior to wanting them on the device, drag and drop them. So not only have I got the ability to add web clips, I have the ability to delete applications from that layout and move them around as well in that way that's really super simple and saves a lot of time. We're not having to type in the app names, put them on a list and move a list around, which is what I've had experience with previously. For teachers, Jamf School has a classroom tool called JumpTeacher. It can be used independently to keep students focused, but is best used alongside the Apple Classroom app in order to maximize learning in the classroom. JamStudent is a native iOS and macOS app, but also a web app, which means that teachers that don't have access to Apple devices can also harness the power of JamStudent. Teachers often need to focus students on a number of apps and websites during a lesson, and with JamStudent, a teacher can choose which apps, websites, and a host of other configurations their students require while in their lesson. After the lesson ends, the iPad returns to its default state, and the best thing is, teacher can prepare this choice of apps, configs, and websites in advance. So when the lesson time comes around, the students are up and running with a few taps on the teacher's iPad. So why don't we have a look at how this actually works on device? Here we have a teacher's iPad. The teacher has the Teacher app installed, and we're going to create ourselves a lesson. So this is going to be where we store our configurations that we know we want for our lesson. So this will be applications, this will be websites, this might be other configurations we have. So once I've named the class, the first thing that I go away and do is choose all the applications that I want my students to have for my lesson. They don't delete the apps on the student device, they just simply hide them, but it means that I know as a teacher, the student is using the apps that I need and is focused on the challenge at hand. I can then also decide that I only want my students to go to a particular website. So I do that by just simply adding the list of websites that I need into the add link there. I can have multiple, I'm just going to have one for this example. And I can just lock into these websites also. These are the only websites they can use. And then I can go away and change some other things if I wanted to as well, such as perhaps if there's use of the camera and you don't need use of the camera for that lesson, I can turn that off, and a host of other things. Once I've got my lesson, you can see I have my lessons tab there, and I've got my class 2 maths that I've just created. But what does that actually mean? Well, let's apply this to a student iPad. We have our teacher iPad on the left and our student iPad on the right here. So on my teacher iPad, I open up Teacher, I select the class that's in front of me, much like you would with Apple Classroom, and then I go away and start a lesson, and I choose the lesson I've just created. And you'll be able to see in a second that the student iPad simply shows the apps and configurations that I've chosen already. So these were the apps that I configured. And if they were to go to a particular website, or if they go to try and browse the web with Safari, what you'll find is they are only able to go to the TT Rockstars webpage that I've popped there. It's there as a as a saved favorite website as well. And if I try to go anywhere else, it's a restricted site. So again, as a teacher, I know that the student is on task all the time because they're only able to go to the websites that I've chosen. They're only able to use the apps that I would like them to use for this particular task as well. On the other side of the fence, we have JamStudent, a tool to empower students and give them restricted permissions over their own devices. Using the main Jamf School console, IT can enable students to install pre-approved apps, books, and documents when they need them without needing an Apple ID or password, as well as tasks like updating apps, iOS, and interacting with teachers. Let's take a look at a student iPad here. We've got a student iPad that has the student app installed. And here, I just want to show you an example of these pre-approved apps, or the My Resources, as we call them here, that a student is able to install on their own. These are a list of the pre-approved apps, or maybe a custom app store for your school is a nice way to look at it. And if a student needs to get an app, they literally just press the Get button and they have the app installed. You can also create bundles of apps. So for here, you can see the Microsoft Office suite, so that you could hit the download them all in one go. So you can really start to guide your students to particular sets of apps, as well as let them just see all the apps that are available to them. And you can see here the apps have started to install. There's been no prompts for passwords, no prompts for Apple IDs, and the applications just install themselves. As I said, you could also use this self-service or this student app to update applications as well if you wanted to. So we're just going to go and take a look at this as well. So we'll open up the student app again, and you can see I have 3 updates available, and also I can update my iOS this way as well. I'm all up to date on this particular occasion, but you can see I've got my 3 updates available here. Again, it gives me the information about what the updates are around, and I can hit update independently on each app, or I can hit update all. You can also automatically update the applications for your students through the main console. This is just something to give the users that flexibility should you want them to handle the updates, or if the situation arises where you want them to update rather than having it happen automatically through the system. And if your school subscribes to a 24/7 model and devices go home, Jamf School gives peace of mind to parents. So that's the last stakeholder that we've yet to talk about. Parents can have concerns about how much time their child is on their device, or if they are focused on their learning whilst at home. Jamf Parent empowers parents to manage, control apps and device functionality. Parents can decide if their child should have access to certain apps while doing homework, or lock down their iPad at bedtime. And with device rules, parent can set these configurations to activate at a particular time and day, so that they can just set and forget. The Jamf Parent app is available for iOS and Android, but is also available via a web app. If a parent doesn't have access to an iOS or Android device, they can still use this powerful tool using a web browser of a device that they do have access to. Like with the Teacher and Student app, Jamf admins have ultimate control and can configure parent access so that parents can only affect devices when the school decides, for example, from 4 p.m. to 8 a.m. So here we can see this is the parent app on an iOS device, and I can see my child there, Liam, and we're just going to click on Liam and we're going to be able to affect his device now. So much like the Teacher app that we just saw, we can select the applications that we want for this particular 45 minutes that we're going to set this restriction for. And these could be apps that we know that my child would need for their homework, because these are apps that our teacher has let us know around, or these are some apps that we know that that are useful for doing a particular set of homework. It's very simple to do. We click on the application, we click done. You can see there on the parent app as well, we can see how much longer the lock is enabled for, and we can quite simply disable the app lock as and when we need to as well. We can lock down some of the device functionality. So, maybe we want to get rid of the messages and FaceTime after a certain point of the day, or we don't want that at all to happen at home. And or if we did want to activate them again, we can go in and toggle the switches. And the same with app categories. So you can see here we can very quickly and simply get rid of anything that's categorized in the App Store that's on the device from social media or entertainment, and just turn them off and know that the device will be focused on whatever you want them to do in the meantime. But as I said, some of these things that you'll be doing on a day-to-day basis, you won't want to go in at 4 p.m., for example, every single day and set this homework configuration up. That's going to be something that you would only perhaps want to do once, and know that on a weekdays, automatically at these times a day, this happens. So this is where we use our device rules. So you can see here I can create some device rules that are time and day. This one that I'm going to do here is an entertainment block. So between certain times of the day, I'm just going to stop any entertainment apps from being on the device. And you can see I can set the days here. So I can do it on the weekdays, for example, and between particular times. So these might be times that I need my child to focus on their homework as an example. And once I've given it a name, I'll then know what is happening during those times of the day. So here, for example, we're just going to call it entertainment homework, as in there is no entertainment apps on the device during homework time. You might want to create some specific rules as well for a parent. This is quite nice. This is where you can select or deselect any of your restricted apps, and again, at what time. I find this really useful, and I've actually done this on my son myself, that I've turned everything off on the iPad apart from the clock so that he can still set an alarm for the morning at 10 o'clock. So at 10 o'clock, I've effectively disabled the iPad. I know that he won't be able to go on any kind of games, and hopefully can wind down to go to bed, as an example. So you can see here, we're creating a bedtime rule as well. So it really does give some of this power to the parents whilst the device is at home, and I think it's really, really effective. And finally, I just want to have a look at Works with Jamf School. For anybody familiar with Jamf Pro, you will know that we have a Jamf and story, where we integrate with a third-party service in order to provide a new or enhanced experience. Jamf School is no different. We also integrate with services to help manage devices specifically in education. As an Apple-only company, we integrate with Apple School Manager as expected. Integration includes all 4 pillars of ASM. That includes device enrollment, so zero-touch deployments, volume purchasing, so acquire licenses for managed apps and deploy with Jamf School. Managed Apple IDs, import and sync users and locations into Jamf School based on your managed Apple IDs and Apple School Manager setup. And Apple Classroom, if your school has taken the time to import class data into your ASM, this can be also pulled into Jamf School, and the class is created automatically, ready for use with Apple Classroom, and with some small tweaks also then use the JumpTeacher app and make use of the power of that app. But it's not just Apple School Manager that we can pull identity from. Jamf School can integrate with on-prem LDAP servers as well as popular cloud identity providers such as Azure and Google. With integrations with LDAP or identity providers and Apple School Manager, plus the power of device management, configurations, and app deployment, you'll be deploying iPads with zero-touch workflow in no time. And that's Jamf School, our easy-to-use Apple management system designed to empower teachers and really help all of the stakeholders within your school. And that joins our other products to help manage your Apple devices, to connect to your resources, and to protect your Apple endpoints. And with that, I'd like to say thank you very much.